so quick. So that is arrhythmia. We have to classify how type of the arrhythmia. So because the difficult in the fetal ECG, so we use the ultrasound to identify mechanical consequence. If the consequence is not arrhythmia, so we have to know that there is difference between the ultrasound, the pictures, and the real fetal arrhythmia. But the most important thing is that prenatal fetal therapy is very effective and supportive to the fetal life. That is very, very important to identify which kind of the arrhythmia and make management. So at this moment, I will introduce the fetal arrhythmia, the instance, and the study. You know, the study is so rare because just sporadic case in each institution. So the most of the paper we published without the double-blind, without the prospective study, just like is an example, the outcome in a 30 years single institution experience just like a correction of the case report. So I want to introduce the next. This is my reference, and I recommend each one of you can have a reference. It's the 2023 reference. Is to guideline how to perform the fetal echocardiogram. And then this is the management, the pharmacology management of the cardiac arrhythmia. So you can see which kind of arrhythmia, how to handle it. So this is very common. We see the PAC left side. That is irregular. You see the reason just is irregular. So irregular, you just see not so often. It's okay. It's okay. But you have to watch out in the follow-up. The right side column is very quick. You can see the just tremor of the heart. The fetal heart tremor is so quick, but sometimes so quickly so have to the AV block because of the atrium rate is over 300 or 400 per minute. That is too fast to have the ventricular response. So we can see that this is, you see, too slow. You know, the atrium rate and the ventricular rate is 42 and is 92 to 154. It's irregular response from the ventricle. That is the complete type of AV block. This is most common happen in the connective tissue disease of the mother or APS, antiphospholipid syndrome, just like that. That is the irregular but very slowly or ventricular heartbeat. So this is the ectopic, the most common. Every day you can see that it's irregular, but sometimes it will disappear. Sometimes it will appear again. So the most important thing is the last one, 2 to 3% superior ventricular tachycardia and atrium flutter, atrium fibrillation. So you have to watch out if you see especially frequent APC, frequent, or you have the frequent VPC. That is most dangerous in the follow-up. The tachycardia arrhythmia is the most common type, is AVRT. This is, you can see the very regular, but it's tachycardia. Its heart rate is higher, but the baby can stand for a long time. If after 2 or 3 weeks with this arrhythmia will have something happen, just like hydrops, just like heart failure, just like intrauterine fetal death. So we have to detect this arrhythmia as soon as possible. And once you detect the arrhythmia, you have to make rapid recovery to sinus rhythm. So if the hydrops happen, will increase the mortality rate over the top cases. The maternal therapy is very effective in treatment of this baby's arrhythmia. I just want to say that another very quickly of the aging rate. This rate is similar to the this one, the ABRT. Similar, but is sometimes will have more mortality rate than the previous ABRT. Sometimes we have to check if you have the arrhythmia. You have to check about karyotyping, microarray, gene and genetics to detect any underlying disease. So I will have a case. You can see this one. At 22nd gestational week, we see the irregular heart rate, but it's more often than 2 weeks later. We can see tachycardia happen, but the entry rate to ventricular rate is 1-to-1 conduction. See, this is just like a tremor of the heart. Seems to be there. Okay. You see, it's not changed by the AI. It's the real, the heart rate. So you can see this, no structure, but arrhythmia. So after that, we can start the medication for the baby. This is 1 week after our treatment. We use the medication of flecainide and digoxin. Then, after 1 year, the reason recovery to sinus rhythm. Then, still have the ascites. Then continues the management and treatment. After 1 month later, no more hydrops. It's totally recovery from the fetal arrhythmia. And then, this is the sinus rhythm for the baby. Okay, after the 26th gestational eggs, no more happen for the fetal arrhythmia. Even the tachycardia, irregular heart rate, no more. We follow this case until 3 years old, no fetal arrhythmia and infantile arrhythmia happen. So this is the case of tachycardia with very good outcome. So we know we have the various methods to detect arrhythmia, so like this. And we can say the most benign outcome is the PAC, PVH, especially the PAC. But PAC, if it happens, you have sequencing to follow up to see any happen to the tachyarrhythmia. Sometimes you associate the CHD, lupus, maternal lupus, and anything infection about that. So if the arrhythmia happen, I will classify according this literature is 1-to-1 conduction or more than 1-to-1 or less than 1. So we can have different differential diagnosis of the fetal arrhythmia. So we have the tachycardia from the longitudinal column, the first one, and the tachycardia and irregular rhythm. So all of the fetal arrhythmia we can diagnose with this column. So if the conclusion is that if AB conduction more than 1, we can see a region is above AV block. If the AV condition is less than 1, origin is below that. So even below that, just like junctional ectopic tachycardia, hyperthyroidism may happen. So management is easy if you can identify the arrhythmia. The most common use is the transplacenta with the maternal treatment. The second one is very rare, and the third one is to prevention. The next pregnancy or prevention if the mother has anti-antibody. This is the fetal therapy. You can have a reference. We can use the dextroxine, flecainide, sotalol, aminodarone. Then we did not use the red color depth, the red color. We don't use that because of the complication may happen. Then this is the flow sheet. If the supraventricular cardiac is regular, and the right color is atrial fibrillation, atrial flutter, we can see use the different kind of first line and second line and third line treatment. So this is very real case report in 2018 with the fetal therapy, but it's very, very rare with the intractable response from the medication we used. So how about fetal arrhythmia afterwards? Most of the case will disappear in 2 days. Especially, the first one, ventricular dysfunction, earlier delivery, and lack of conversion to sinus rhythm before birth. This case may be happen afterward. So supraventricular is threatened, life-threatening arrhythmia. So aggressive fetal therapy is mandatory. So we keep the patient, keep the baby lack of hydrocephalus. This is the case of, they can have a reference about which one will have happened afterward. The last section, last two, ventricular tachycardia is happen rare, but is most grave outcome. So just like the ventricular tumor, we have a long QT syndrome or drug-induced and inherited long QT. This is the inherited QT syndrome. We have the long QT1, QT2, and long QT3 with different kind of gene mutation, just like that. The one is the KCNQ1 and KCNH2 and SCN5A. We can use the gene detection to differentiate which kind of long QT interval, because the long QT interval is challenge to our prenatal diagnosis. So at this time, maybe the QT interval initially just only functional 2 to 1 heavy block, or just has a sinus bradycardia. So we have to be very cautious to detect as soon as possible. So the long QT syndrome is diagnosis in utero may have meet the challenges. The Doppler we can use to detect it. As in this case, we can use the long QT, the right side column and left side column is normal. We have the prolonged left ventricular isotonic relaxation time, and the initial and the ratio between this one and the cycle length will have more long. Just like this, we can use the Doppler between the mitral valve and aortic valve. We can see the cycle length and we can see the IVRE. So it's very important to use the ultrasound to detect longevity. So you know the bradycardia we see is not good as the tachyarrhythmia. The bradycardia most often happen in the hereditary. We have the disease, just like the maternal disease, collagen disease, antibody disease, just like that. So if we want to continue use the ubiquitous in heart disease, if we detect heart block before the birth, 2 to 6 anti-RO antibody will cause advanced complete heart block. The most important is the postnatal dilated cardiomyopathy and will recurrence in 18 cases of subsequent in the pregnancy. The most important is that the endocardial fibroelastosis, dilated cardiomyopathy without treatment, especially the steroid used in utero. That is will cause the postnatal complication of the baby. So this is recommendation treatment of the bradycardia. The bradycardia happened if we detect happen. So the first one is to use the dexamethasone and the IVIG, and sometimes if the heart rate is too slow or endanger the fetal life, we use the beta-mimetic medication. So our purpose is to keep the fetal heart rate is over 60 per minute. So how to prevent is subsequent. If we have the cases to have the mother have the disease or just like anti-phosphotic disease, we can use hydroxychloroquine in mother, especially between the first trimester and second trimester, and continue use this drug associated with steroid medication to prevent. Okay, if we cannot prevent, how come we have to medication treatment? This medication treatment with the steroid cannot recover all of the case. So we all happen to do the bradycardia is challenge to our prenatal management. So at this time, we just want to say that bradycardia happened. Use the steroid, use the cream, then we hope it will recover to sinus reason, the back to the sinus reason. If it cannot happen, continue use the steroid and cream until complete of pregnancy to prevent postnatal cardiomyopathy, to prevent the endocardial fibroelastosis happen to the baby. That is our conclusion that. So thank you so much. It's a very fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hasses, for very comprehensive presentation. For the next speaker, we would like to invite Professor Simon Mayer. He is very well known, become with us many times. Starting today in first trimester evaluation of fetal cardiac anomaly. Please.
I'm sure you're all pretty tired at this stage. It's been a very, very long day. And I hopefully won't hold you up too long from the tea break because we're running a little bit behind time, so I will go fast. So what I want to cover today is the screening and diagnosis of cardiac malformation during the first trimester of pregnancy. And I have produced a cardiac handbook which facilitates learning and fetal